I had just witnessed on a writers group on Facebook a virtual fist fight, name calling, things getting really nasty and unpleasant on the extremely politically charged and divisive issue on double spacing after a period. Sorry for the interruption. Your programming will resume shortly. I'm busy working on After Effects because my marketing lady that's helping me gain followers and helping me with my social media has told me I need to do this. So please do. Thank you. When typing, do you put 1 or 2 spaces after a full stop? The catfighting on that topic, holy crap. I thought people were idealistic about the Middle East. Putting 1 or 2 spaces after a period seems to be even worse an issue. So what's the answer? Do you put a single or a double space after a full stop when you write? The answer is it doesn't matter as long as you're consistent. Now, I'm a double space guy. I do double spacing after periods. 1 after a comma, 2 after full stops, question marks, exclamations, etc. The reason I do that is twofold. The first is, that is how I was taught when I was a boy, and I'm 50 years old. Telling me I don't have to put down a double space is like telling me I don't have to breathe. Yes, I do. It's not going to be a habit I'm going to change ever, never mind anytime soon. So I'm in a double space camp. But I'm also in a double space camp because in large pieces of text, it does make things easier to read. Now, trust me, I know the history of it, okay? Many people say, yeah, but Jerry, you don't know, typewriters are monospaced, okay? I know all this. I'm a layout artist. I studied graphic design pre-computers. I know all about monospace type. So for those who don't know that, back in the day on typewriters had monospace fonts. So the width of a lowercase I was exactly the same width as a lowercase w. This made for quite interesting things on a typewritten page. And the habit came in to apply a double space after a period to separate your sentences to make them easier to read. This worked an absolute treat, and trust me, I wrote my first stories as a boy on my mother's old IBM golf ball typewriter, and it does make things easier to read. Fast forward to the late 20th century, and suddenly we have computers and fully justified type and fonts that weren't monospaced. And the reason for the double space after a period does not apply as much. Note, I didn't say any more, I said as much. It is much more comfortable reading modern typefaces and fonts. And the double space is not really necessary the way it was back in typewriter days. However, and this is a big however, large swathes of text, especially printed text, needs that extra little bit of space that a double space gives. I find it that way anyway. When I read a book and it is single spaced after a full stop, it feels tight and I get optical fatigue relatively quickly. Having just that smidgen more space between sentences just makes text easier to read. One of the people on the forum said, if they see a double space thing, they chuck the book away and put it in the misprint file. Now, wow, that is judgmental, and I would hope that readers aren't that judgmental a bunch. Does it matter? Does it need getting dogmatic over? No, not at all. I'm not going to discard a book because the line spacing wasn't to my liking. I have my ways, I have my preference. And you have your ways and you have your preference. There is no right and wrong in this debate. Tearing your remaining hair out, not that I've got much, over whether one should put one or two spaces after a full stop is, if that is the biggest worry of your day, if that is the thing you get up in arms about, then you're living a very charmed life. Imagine the luxury that that is the biggest thing that you're worried about. Don't sweat the small stuff. You're worried about periods and books. Worry about getting your story down. Sit on your ass and write. Don't worry about whether you should put one or two spaces. Choose one, stick to it, carry on with the story.